I'm not one to regret things, okay? I'm not the one to regret something that is important to move forward and important for one's growth, right? But if I can think of one thing that I regret so far, which you can say in retrospect, like, I don't have much regrets in life, and I'm very fortunate for that, is that I didn't go to a fancy schmancy university because I thought they were all the same. And I thought, like, it's fine, it's just save money, live better. And it's like, it's not important. It's about your work ethic and where you go in life. Like, the real world, it doesn't care about that, which is kind of single minded thinking. Because in retrospect now, I know that who you know matters. And in university, that is where you find them. Okay, that is where you have big leaps in life, because if you meet the people, if you're surrounded by people that are intellectually inclined and are usually are more in leadership, which usually these high, not high end, but like universities of high caliber tend to flock on, then you yourself will rise to another level. Yes, yes, yes. I didn't know. I really didn't know. But going to the real world now and seeing how in my internships, those that were in like fancy colleges, um, related to the people that were also in those fancy colleges, as like a full-time employee and as an intern. And I'm like, I went to a community college, not a community college, not really like renowned, you know. But I think what it did taught me, what going to not like a target school did teach me, was I am the master of my own own story. Mm-hmm. You get what you put in, and it's no matter what college, what university you attach yourself to, it's gonna be the same thing. Your work speaks for itself, and so even if you go to a fancy college, it can only take you so far. You know what I mean? It can only take you so far. Yeah, so for anyone those who feels kind of like insignificant, feels like, oh my goodness, I feel so inferior to these people that went to high end colleges. Don't be. Don't be. Don't be at all. Because it's what you do afterwards, what you do after college that matters. And if you attach yourself solely to what school you go to, I find those people kind of insufferable. I'm not saying they shouldn't be proud, because it is an accomplishment to go to a college, because it shows work ethic, it shows diligence, it shows grit, right? But you are more than the college that you go to, and I prefer to surround myself with people that care about the impact that they do for others, their community, and detach themselves from titles. You know what I mean? Because it really doesn't. You can acknowledge how great. Oh, CEO. Ooh, this. But when it comes down to it, we're all humans. Intellect isn't something to, or like intelligence isn't something to feel superior over if you're higher on that spectrum, but it's rather a gift, right? So you shouldn't think people are lower than you just because of their intelligence. I don't subscribe to that at all. Your life is not worth more or less than because of how intelligent you are. What I value more, if we're trying to put it in a ranking of people, I would value wisdom more than intelligence. Because intelligence, yeah, you can read a textbook. There's different types of intelligence, street intelligence, whatever, but wisdom, there's some use to that, okay? There's some actual use to that. So if you look at King Solomon, what is the one thing that he asked of God? It was not riches, it was not intelligence. What it was wisdom. And I feel that wisdom is learned through experiences and through your intelligence for sure, but that's an aspect. But it's I feel as though it's more important than intelligence itself. Wisdom. It transcends time for sure. And I feel like who I really value, I volunteer. I started volunteering, working with older women, and let me just say, like, they hold a lot of wisdom within them. They experience life. I'm not saying you have to go through an old age to have that wisdom, but they do hold a lot of wisdom about life, and that wisdom will guide you through the hurdles, and I really value that. So I guess you can say I don't regret anything at all. I don't regret that I went to not a fancy schmancy college, but like a college where I can learn not only the material, because if I'm spending so much for just a piece of paper, I might as well learn a lesson of, I guess that's like a $30,000 lesson of how important detaching yourself from a college is. You shouldn't attach yourself to that. Anyways, I think that's it. Try not to regret too much, because this too shall pass, and that is that. Okay, you take care.